Well, hello everyone, and welcome back again to Choose to Win. And I say that with such, I just say it so that you can understand what today's show is about. It's about a young man who, off camera, we've talked about his journey, and every time before I ended something with him, I said, you just made a decision and you chose to win. And that's what you're going to hear today. Thank you, first of all, for allowing us to come in your homes week after week to hopefully bring something positive, because right now we need a lot of positivity to empower you, to let you see change agent, people who are doing things in the community. And this young man who's going to just share a part of his story with you will inspire and encourage so many people that if you have never watched a show, if you never invited anyone to watch a show, this is your show to invite someone. So today I introduce to you I call it, you knew you in my phone as Lil Cuz, Mr. Derrick Harris. We appreciate you for coming in today, sharing your journey with us. So thank you for this opportunity. Your humble spirit is that resonates with me. So welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
Just welcome to the people. We're just so glad to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah.
Happy to be here.
It's a special show for me. Everybody knows that young black male specifically is my passion. I just believe that we got so much work to do concerning young black men who are challenged with so many things. And your story is so inspiring because when your back is against a wall in several situations, you made a positive decision. I'm sure it wasn't easy,
right,
but you picked up some pieces and you chose to win. So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, about me, I'm 27 years old. I am from Beauregard, Alabama. I graduated from Beauregard High School 2014. Currently, right now, I'm working at West Forest Intermediate School as a PE while I'm working on my bachelor's at AUM to be a PE coach.
I love AUM, and that's where I got my Auburn is a great school. It's an Auburn University, Montgomery, and everyone knows I'm War Eagle. And so you'll do great things there. But the reason why you're doing great things, you're going to school, you work for Opelika, but your story came across Facebook and a lot of outlets that you worked at Lee County Schools.
Yes, ma'am.
That's where Beauregard High School is a part of Lee County School System. And what did you do at Lee County Schools at Beauregard?
So
was it Beauregard or Wacoochee?
It was Wacoochee.
Right.
So Tammy Sin is a family friend of mine, and her brother-in-law reached out to me about the job at her school. She was the principal at the time, and it was a custodian job. But what struck out to me was the benefits that come with the job. And of course, in my story, that's not my first rodeo, being the man of the house, but a job with benefits, that's what struck out. So I reached out, I interviewed, and it was a job as a custodian, so I grabbed at it.
Keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off. You're so funny. You said you're 27.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're the man of, this is not your first rodeo as being the man of the house.
Right.
And I need for the community to hear, and you say it with such passion, it was a job as a custodian. Not many people will have such honor. But off camera, you told me your first job you took to do what?
Take care of my mom.
Take care of your mom. And you're a servant, aren't you?
Yeah,
you're a servant at heart, aren't you? I love you for you to smile with that, because we do know, being in education, that we can't make it without our custodians. They just run the school. They know everything going on. They know all the secrets. They know all the business. They know all the mishaps. But I need for you to really understand, and the people that are watching, that you said I was a servant first. I'm going to ultimately, we'll talk about what your goals are, but you said I first needed to serve. And as a custodian, God allowed you to do that. So let's go back, because you said, it's so funny to me because my son is 23 and he didn't even have to think about being the man of the house.
Right.
I had to think about that journey growing up, but my children have never thought about that journey. So let's talk about that. So as a young child, how did you attain that role of automatically knowing or assuming that you were the man of the house?
Because a conversation with my dad, and every time we ended a conversation, he would be like, can you do me one favor? And I say, yes, sir. And he'll take care of your mom.
I love you said yes, sir. And you said he always told you to take care of your mom. You and your dad had a special relationship, right?
We did.
And we speak in past tense because what happened?
He passed away when I was 9 years old.
He passed away when you were 9 years old, and and when you told me that walking in, I don't know why I automatically assumed that you were younger, but he would always end the conversation with "take care of your mom." So, as a 9-year-old losing your dad, how did that put into your heart? Like, what did that look like for a 9-year-old? Take care of your mom.
A lot.
In your little 9-year-old mind, I'm pretty sure that no mom wants you to go around thinking that's your responsibility.
Right, of course.
But how did you feel? What did you feel as a 9-year-old? Take care of your mom. What are some of the things that you felt like you needed to do at a 9-year-old when you lost your dad?
I felt that I'm her protector.
All right.
No matter what man is in her life at the time or how she feels about that, I'm big dog.
Okay, you're a big dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's funny you say that because apparently you use these words, no matter how she felt about it, I'm big dog.
Right.
And what she probably didn't understand is how important it was to you to live out your dad's legacy. Those were the last words that he said to you.
Right.
Take care of your mom. And as a young son, you felt like your obligation was to protect her and offer the things that you could for her. So let's grow up a little bit. You go on, you graduate high school.
Yes, ma'am.
You graduate from Beauregard, like you said, in 2014. And then you meet some people that have a job as a custodian. And what struck out with you about that job, you say, were the benefits. What do you mean by that?
Health benefits, just in case stuff happened in life, you have something on the back end to help you out. And, that really struck out to me because, most people take jobs and they don't have benefits. So if something happened on the job or something happens, in your personal life, now you're scratching for money and coins to,
How
figure
old were
this
you
out.
when you took that job?
19.
Yeah, so I needed the people to really hear that as a 19-year-old, because of things that have happened in your life, it forced you to think older. There's not many 19-year-olds. So to not let them off the hook, but your conversation at 19, most of them are still on their parents' benefits. So if their parents have good jobs. And you, as a 19-year-old who thought you needed to take care of your mom, look for the fact of how this, first of all, I could be a servant. And second of all, how it will be beneficial in thinking ahead,
Right.
Thinking about forward. So you graduated from high school. You went on, you say, what was your next steps?
Next step was to, attain a college degree because with that, nobody can take it away from you.
Right.
So I attended Southern Union while working at the school during the daytime and taking night classes. Well, of course, being still young, I was still out exploring the world and, didn't really know what time management was. So
Right.
There were times where you get the email like, hey, your GPA is this, so we're going to put you on a probation. But then a probation turns into, if you still don't get it right, you go to a suspension. So it was a lot of trial and error with that, and another family friend. And what I learned through my journey and still going is not about what you know, it's about who you know.
Well, it's all about who you respect and who sees something in you. So you lose your dad. And so let's talk about that, because I didn't lose my mom or my dad, but I lost my sister at 23, and it kind of crippled me mentally for a long time. So you lose your dad and you still this personified kid, like you're this young man, and you're still not letting yourself off the hook. You said, I didn't understand time management, so I made some bad decisions. But let's just be honest. And I say this in the most respectful way, so people, please don't get offended, because everything offends everybody. You were what we see as what could be easy a stereotype. Young black male, father deceased. The story we hear over and over when we see kids make bad decisions. The first thing they say is, he has a hard time, or his dad. And I'm not saying that didn't play a role, because it played a role in my life, and I acted out in certain ways growing up. But like you, I didn't allow it to make an excuse for me. You lost your father. You're thinking you're man of the house. That's so funny to me. I'll probably reference that from now on, because I thought I was the woman of the house growing up. I thought I had to raise me and my sister, so I definitely get it. And so you could have easily turned into something that we would make an excuse for.
Right.
And because society is real good at making excuses and letting people off the hook. But what I'm hearing, you didn't let yourself off the hook. So you made some bad decisions, like we all have. We got an email, like most of us have. And school was halted for a moment. You were working your job. What made you go back?
Yet again, I knew my goals, and I knew what I needed to get to where I'm going, where I wanted to be. And that really, like I said, once you get that paper in your hand, nobody can take it away from you because you knew the work that you put in to get it. So what made me go back was I met the Hargraves, Kay Hargrave and her husband, Chris Hargrave. Well, Kay's mom, Veronica Chestnut, was a professor at Wallace Community College in Selma. And she suggested to me that I take classes online.
Okay.
Being that I work during the day. And so she took me to Wallace, let me meet the president of the college, the staff. They welcomed me. She enrolled me. And then I started classes immediately. And everything worked out. So by this time, I have elevated in my job from custodian to paraprofessional, where I'm helping special ed kids and, floating from classroom that has special ed with the, general ed kids and, just being a light in the school, still being a servant. So
that's very important. But let's go back. I love what you said because the people can't miss this because we're living in a generation now where people don't think they need anybody. You give credit where credit is due. You met a certain group of people who then turn around and introduce you to their people that could help you. And this is what I think happens. I'm not you. I'm just telling you. When you get those components of people that want to help you, it's a lot harder to just be lackadaisy because it's no longer about you. It's about people that believed in you. So you got these people that believe in you. They weren't raised with you. They didn't grow up with you. They just saw something in you.
Right.
And then this is so profound. This is so amazing for such a young 27-year-old man to use these words. You said, then I was promoted to paraprofessional. See, that's big for me in being in education. You didn't look down on because you got people who think paraprofessional jobs are nothing. And they don't realize that without custodians and paraprofessionals, the school can't run. We are great educators, teachers, principals, all of us, but we all have our lane. We would not be effective if we did not have the right parapro or the right PE aide or the right custodian in the school or the right secretary because you can't find on those positions because they are the reason why we're able to go and navigate properly. So you're promoted as parapro, still at Wacoochee?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so you get to Wallace College taking your classes online. Let's talk about how your mom must be feeling by now about you.
Same as she always been, supportive. Keep going. You know what your goals are. Wake up every day and get done what you need to get done. So
it's the fact that you know what your goals are. So today I'll just tell you, I'll be confession of something. I had to go out and realize that my life is overwhelming me. So I had to solicit some outside resources to help line my life up. So I've started writing down my goals and checking them off during the day. And I've been able to do it off a cuff. I've been able to go off a cuff. But starting this season again, I realized some of the roles that my staff played or the people that work with me. But I also realized some of the roles that I played. Right. And I needed to clean that up some and see what that looked like. And so I get what you're saying. Write your goals down. So you wrote your mom know what your goals are. Apparently you had to either transfer from Wallace or because you're at AUM now. Tell me about that journey.
So in May 2021, I graduated from Wallace.
Right.
And at this time, at my job, I just accepted a job in Opelika City Schools at West Forest Intermediate School as a PE aide. So one of my goals is to eventually be a PE teacher and a coach. And so I got the job and I'm on my way out, and 2 days before my graduation, my grandmother passed away.
Wow.
So I get my degree, and The school that I was currently at, Wakuchi, they knew I was on my way out, and everybody knew the situation with my grandmother, so they was pretty bummed about it. And the school counselor, Tracy Lane, who would put a desk in her office for me to come in and study, put my head down, just to reset. She asked me to bring my cap and gown to work. She wanted to take some pictures of me. And that, just her suggestion, that turned into this big graduation walk that went viral on Facebook, and news outlets caught on to it. The Today Show caught on to it, ABC News. So at that time, I'm feeling like, well, I knew I accomplished my goal, but it was to help somebody else out as well.
So the Today Show, I saw you. I saw that story on the Today Show. Young African American male lost his dad, man of the house. So it's just that I'm telling you, I definitely get that, because I don't know why I thought I was the woman of the house. It was me and my sister. I just thought that I had to protect her and raise her, and she was older than me. It's just crazy how your young mind takes on so much at a young age. That's why it's so important that mind is we had adults that helped develop those minds. Like you had your grandfather who helped develop you, because then you had your grandmother to help develop you. And even though they were not here when you graduated, they're still with you, and they have taught you. You're a very well-centered young man. So you're at AUM, you're working at West Forest Intermediate. People are helping you on your way. But something happened. You said, I asked you before we sat down, I said, you told me, you said the turning point was.
Okay.
And you were two specific situations that was a turning point for you. What was that?
So the turning point, so that would go back to, that's like my freshman year of college. Same year I graduated high school. Grew up with him, played ball against each other, named Jaquel Mitchell. He was murdered. And you spoke at his candlelight vigil, and that's around the time my mom told me, like, hey, that's your cousin. And so I was like, she's real good. So I started following you on Facebook, saw that you was a principal, just the way you praise your staff and stuff. And going along to his funeral, I heard his dad speak, and how about when Jaquel was 5, he gave his life to Christ. Just walked up one day and in church, and basically told the pastor what he wanted to do. So I'm sitting in the back of the funeral, 19 years old at the time. Like I said, not my first rodeo being at a funeral of a friend, lost to gun violence, and that's pretty much what happened to my dad. So just sitting there and just thinking, like, all right, I know God, but do I actually know God?
Him.
Do we have that relationship? Do we have that conversation every day, not just when things are bad? And don't get me wrong, like, everybody has their
I get what you're definitely
their perspective of how they talk to him or their relationship to him. But I just knew where I was at the time. So that was just something that that struck out to me sitting there. But the turning point was going on to that following year. One of my friends, she was going to Church of the Highland, 21 days of prayer, 6 a.m. in the morning, getting out at 7. So I just had questions about it, and she invited me one day to a service, and it just clicked.
Well, this is a good place for us to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to tell people about Church of the Highlands, 21 days of prayer, and your awesome testimony to continue. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. Well, we're back, and yeah, by the way, go get both of those books that I just showed you. Adversity, go and get it. it's going to bless you. And of course, choose to win. But I just had to plug that real quick. I wrote a book about adversity and how you deal with it. And you are the epitome of how to deal with adversity. Now, I don't want people to think that you haven't made bad decisions as a young man, because I don't want to send that message.
All right.
But you had people that held you to the carpet, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you say about these young people that don't want any accountability?
Gotta have people in your corner at all times.
That'll tell you the truth, won't they?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you notice about this young generation? You young, I'm not young. Well, I'm young, but what do you notice about this generation, your age, about the accountability piece?
Well, of course, working in schools and just, still being young myself, we hear this line, well, these young kids different, this generation different. They're not different, they just got more resources. And
that's good.
It's about the way they use their resources. And a couple of them are using it in the wrong way. But we all made the same mistakes. But like I said, it's the resources that they're getting access to that's telling them to live this one way and not live this way with the people that they should have in their corner.
So you're telling me that as adults, as parents, we need to monitor those resources.
Yes,
because
ma'am.
the kids are the kids, they're the same kids. But I really like the way you put it. It's the resources. And you get a lens by being inside of schools. You see what the parents don't see on the outside. Like being in education, it opens your eyes to a lot of things. I believe my poor children got the worst end of it because I already knew what could happen. So I won't say worse, I'll just say I was strict because I knew the decisions that they could make. But like you said, it's the resources and how they use them. Some are using them for good. It's just like anybody, and some are using them for bad. And it's our job as adults to monitor the resources. So you go through this, you're in school, you lost your dad, you lose your grandfather, you lose your grandmother. Both grandfathers, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You lose your grandmother, but still, you're still saying that I'm going to serve the people, and I'm going to serve God. Because, see, serving the people is serving God.
Right.
So as a 27-year-old, why is that so important to you?
Because it's in the book, That's what Jesus did. He washed feet.
But what about these people that don't read the Bible? How can you send that message to them that is the most, how does it feel because nowadays we living in this love thyself generation.
Right.
And what they don't understand is one day you're going to need people, but you don't have the relationship with people to fall back on. And that's what I think church does. And I don't think, but people are not going back in the building, so we have to own that. So the church is the person anyway. But church does for me, it gives me a family of people that I can relate to.
Right.
So that's what Churches of Highlands did for you. Who's your pastor? Which one of your, Church of the Highlands are you a member?
Opelika campus is at the Sportsplex, so that's Kevin Helfman.
I know Pastor Kevin.
Yep.
I know him very well. Very humble, wonderful guy. You have a great leader.
Yes,
we visited that church a couple times. Great atmosphere, great people.
Yeah, I caught you in there a couple times.
You did. That's right. Great message, great person, just great fellowship. So what made you go to church? Did somebody invite you to Church of Highlands?
Yes, ma'am. So like I was saying, one of my friends, she was going 21 days of prayer at the time, their prayer season, fasting season, which we are in now. So I just had questions about it, and she invited me to a college night first. So just walking in and, seeing young people, a packed room, praising God. So it was different, and it was something that,
Caught your attention.
Right. So I was like, okay, it's cool. And it's cool to actually have a relationship with God, a personal one. So it caught my attention, and I just kept going. And, Pastor Chris Hodges, one thing he does, put an emphasis on is give the church 1 year and just action steps, in your relationship with Christ. And one thing that's always come back is, in my story, is being a servant.
And you are a very good servant. I believe it or not, this doesn't even appear like 30 minutes. You have so many layers to you. There is so much that God is going to do for you. I'm just humbled and thankful and grateful that you just came and shared a few minutes with me and talk about your story as an African-American male who's lost so much but made different decisions from what even we stereotype you to make. You have blown away every stereotype that there could possibly be in people's minds, from having an absent father, your mom, I'm sure at some point was a single mom, you being a black male, you went out and got a job, you went out and got a job to serve, you didn't try to get a quick fix, you didn't need all these things, you're very respectful, you still feel like a protector of your mom, you serve the Lord, and you're extremely humble. You have thrown away every stereotype that we could ever imagine. And for your humility and your spirit and your servitude, God has got to bless you. I can't wait for us to be able to share that when you walk across that stage and get your bachelor's. I am so encouraged by the young black boys. And I don't want to limit it just to African American boys, but we have to be honest. We're in a crisis with our black boys. For them to see someone as yourself choose to win. You could have taken any route, and then we would have given you an excuse for it. You know that, right? We would have said, oh, he lost his dad. He lost so many things. But you didn't do that. So when you're in there at Opelika at West Forest and you see that third grader, you have that inside scoop on why he could be acting out or why he could be not want to participate. He could have some things going on. He could have just seen his dad say, take care of your mom, and the last time he saw his dad. So what we need to know is take advice from young men like you. Let them off the hook a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you want to say to your mom real quick before we sign off?
I love you.
Yeah, boys are funny with their mom. So I know you miss your dad. And your Aunt Pam loves you to death. She shares everything you do. That's good. And believe it or not, you look just like them. So thank you so much for being a light. Thank you so much for teaching us how to be a servant.
Yes,
thank you so much for teaching us that when we feel like giving up, we don't have any excuses. And thank you for letting a young man, a young black man, see that you don't have to take the easy road. You just got to take the high road. Well, guys, believe it or not, that's it. Love you, little cuz. Love you. Can't wait for this to air. Thank you all for watching. You have been amazing. He has been amazing. So don't give up on kids. We have stories, more stories to come. Keep watching us. Now, listen, don't give up on life. I know life can be challenging. I know it can. But even though it may not feel good, the scripture says it's working for you good. So anytime you want to give up, I want you to listen to this young man's story and see what he did. He had a couple decisions, but one he chose to make. And that's what I always sign off with you. When you have any decision to make, little cousin, and you got to make it, you make that decision. And you choose to win. Until next time, God bless you all.